Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm here with James Kvaal. He's our policy director at the John Edwards campaign. We're here at campaign headquarters, and we have some questions for James that folks have asked online and in New Hampshire about education. James, our first question comes from Christopher. And Christopher asks, if your education funding plan will be so heavily focused on standardized testing, I feel that the current policy, which harms schools which doesn't meet standards, ultimately does not hurt the teachers or administrators, but harms the students, which statistically are largely minorities. Obviously, we must give incentive for poorly performing schools to shape up, but is retribution the only or the best policy?
Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate the chance to answer some of these questions. No Child Left Behind is something that Senator Edwards has talked about a lot, and he has some very serious concerns about. And he's announced a plan to radically overhaul No Child Left Behind to better achieve its purposes of helping every child excel and closing the achievement gap that still hurts so many low-income and minority children. And I think the question is a very good one. Senator Edwards has identified 3 problems with the No Child Left Behind law. The first is it judges kids based upon standardized tests in the subject of reading and math alone, and often very cheap multiple choice standardized tests that don't measure higher order thinking skills at all. So Senator Edwards has proposed a broader set of criteria for evaluating schools, including measures other than test scores, and also including higher quality tests like essays, science projects, oral examinations, that kind of thing. Secondly, the No Child Left Behind does not do a good job evaluating schools once it has the test scores. So, for example, it evaluates schools solely on the percentage of children who pass a predetermined bar, ignoring a school that, for example, may start with children starting way below grade level and make great progress with them. But if they don't get quite above that bar, then that school doesn't get any credit for that. And then a third problem is once a school is considered failing, the law often does take a punitive approach, as the questioner asked. It imposes cookie-cutter solutions from Washington without regard to whether they actually work, and the jury's really out on whether they work. So Senator Edwards wants to address all of those problems and put in more resources and give more flexibility for schools that really are struggling to help them improve.
Okay, thanks, James. Our next question comes from Dante, who asked, where are the resources going to come from that support the changes in the No Child Left Behind policy that John Edwards has suggested?
Also a good question. Senator Edwards has said that we do need to reduce the deficit and we need to pay for our new proposals. But our top priority is not balancing the budget. Balancing the budget's a good thing and we need to get there over time. But it's not more important than the investments we need to make in education and in healthcare, in building a new energy economy based on renewable energy. So the first priority is to make these types of investments in our future that we need to make. As far as where the money comes from, Senator Edwards has said that he will pay for all of his new initiatives, and he does that by rolling back the Bush tax cuts on families making more than $200,000 a year. An aggressive effort to collect unpaid taxes. There's some $300 million in unpaid taxes, and also cracking down on tax loopholes and shelters. And the third step is cutting wasteful spending, for example, wasteful subsidies in the student loan program.
Okay. Our next question comes from somebody on MySpace calling themselves Elder, and they're asking about preschool. Elder asks, preschool has been shown both logistically and personally to increase success in later school years, and also gives busy moms and dads who need to support the family the time to earn a moderately supportable income. Are there budget plans regarding providing more free preschool? If so, what is the general idea behind it?
Absolutely, and this is another priority area for Senator Edwards, who believes very strongly in what preschool can accomplish. In fact, North Carolina, Senator Edwards' home state, has been a real leader in this area under Governor Jim Hunt in the 90s, now under Governor Mike Easley. Senator Edwards' plan is called Great Promise, and it's a universal, high-quality early childhood education program for 4-year-olds. And it would provide resources for states to make high-quality early childhood education available to every 4-year-old in the state. and it would be free for low-income and working families, and tuition would be charged on a sliding scale for that.
Thanks, James. Our next question comes from MySpace user JT, and JT asks, what does John Edwards propose for improving teacher pay? I'm a teacher in Florida, and due to our state's inability to manage money, we have a $1 billion shortfall. This is causing my school district to freeze all pay, which means I didn't get a raise this year, and I most likely won't get a raise next year. I work too hard at a totally thankless job where I get no respect to take home $930. I'm tenured, highly qualified, and I want to leave my career because of little appreciation and horrible pay. And incentive programs are just ways for school districts to give more money to their favorites. What do you have to say about that? Or what does John Edwards have to say about that?
You know, it's a very good question. And teachers is another area that's a priority for Senator Edwards. There's really nothing more important in a school than the interaction between a teacher and a child. And when you think about it, that's really what the rest of the infrastructure of the school is there to support. And that's something parents know when they're trying to figure out what's best for their own child, is how important a teacher is. Senator Edwards has proposed a substantial increase in pay for teachers teaching in successful high-poverty schools, up to $15,000 raise, including a $5,000 raise for every teacher in those schools, and additional raises for teachers who are nationally certified as an excellent teacher, such as through the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards, or who serve as mentors to incoming teachers. So that's an important area for Senator Edwards, and it complements his other teacher initiatives. He's proposed a national teacher university to train high-quality teachers willing to teach where they're needed most, and new steps to support teachers in the beginning years, because we lose almost a third of teachers in the first 3 years, and so we need to do much more to help them succeed in the classroom.
Okay, great. And our last question comes from Amanda, who asks, what are you going to do about high school graduates who are paying for their own college career?
Well, college affordability, obviously that's another important issue, and student loan debt has skyrocketed over the last 10 or 15 years. Senator Edwards understands the importance of it. He was the first in his own family to go to college, and he proposed a program which he calls College for Everyone, which would pay for a year of college tuition, public college tuition, for students who are willing to take a part-time job. This is an idea he's tested. After proposing it in his last campaign, he's tried it out in Greene County, North Carolina, which is a low-income county, and has seen a substantial increase in college going rates at the high school which he's tested out at. So that's something that he would take national in an effort to make college more affordable, help more qualified students enroll in college, and bring down student loan debts.
Great. Thanks, James, and thanks everybody who sent questions in to be asked. We hope if you have any more questions on education or any other policy, you'll visit johnedwards.com.
Thanks, sir.